All right, how's everybody doing? I can't hear you now. My name is Blake Callens. I'm lead engineer at SpotTrot, and I'm going to be talking today about why responsive web design, pure responsive web design, namely responsive CSS, doesn't live up to its promise, but what you can do to help it do that. So that's probably something you're not used to hearing if you follow all the design blogs, the UX blogs. Responsive design is our savior, apparently. So some of you might be wondering, like, who's this guy from this company that I've never heard of that's going to tell me something different than everybody else is saying? So let me go through what we do, shamelessly self-promote at the same time. So SpotTrot, we do mobile e-commerce. That's all we do. And we do it for some pretty decent-sized names. We're in over 75 stores right now. We are hyper-focused on the music, sports, and entertainment space. And our stores, our UX is geared specifically for those users. We're very obsessed with the UX of it because in our space, you know, a fraction of a percent change in the conversion rate changes our revenue drastically. So that's all we do all day long is think about, you know, I like to say our competition is concerned with how people shop. We're obsessed with how people buy. And so this we call impulse commerce. So here's some numbers to show you how hyper-focused we are on some of the results. So you can see that our stores have a lower bounce rate even than the average desktop e-commerce rate. And these are the lowest numbers I found for this. I've seen numbers that say that the desktop e-commerce bounce rate's actually in the 40s and that mobile's in the 60s. But across the board, that's not just cherry picking our best stores. That's our smallest names to our biggest ones, 29%. But bounce rate doesn't equal money, so our cart retention is 4 times the average on mobile. Now, that's a big problem in mobile e-commerce right now. 97% of people abandon the checkout process at some point, on average, as opposed to 70% when it comes to desktop. You see we're gaining ground on that. I can say last month's numbers were actually better than that. I expect by the summer we're going to be sitting somewhere around 15% retention if things keep going the way they're going. And we're constantly working. We're absolutely obsessed with everything. This is our tech mobile, our mobile mission statement. We feel that if you put our stores up against anybody else's mobile stores right off the bat, you're going to see that our experience is better. We think that we're at least a year ahead of the competition, and we plan on staying there. And we have a lot of interesting features, and some proprietary, some first to market. And so out of this, we spend our time just obsessing all day long. Like, I'm the lead engineer at the company, but I probably spend at least half of my day thinking about UX all day long, and we're just talking and bouncing things off. And there's one thing out of all of this that's not just we found the fulcrum of mobile e-commerce, but the fulcrum of the mobile web in general. You know, at least once, twice a month, somebody comes into our office and goes, hey, you know, somebody told me to come see you guys because you build iPhone apps. And we don't build iPhone apps. We have a mobile web platform. It's based on the LAMP stack. There's absolutely nothing native about it. But people don't know that difference necessarily. And that's somebody that already saw what we did and told somebody we build iPhone apps. And so we explain, we show them the story, and then some people still don't get it. Like, they go, oh, cool, so I can get this in the App Store? Right? Well, we're in Safari. No, it's, it's in the web. And so what does that narrow everything down to? It's that if you're building for the mobile web, goal 1 should be to build your mobile website or web app to emulate a native app as much as possible. That's what the people are expecting, and that's what you need to give them if you want them to have the best experience. So we've taken a really, really deep look at responsive design. And in the long run, you know, why wouldn't we anyway? Because it's a really great claim. Build one website, and it handles every device you might throw at it, and it's good to go. Who wouldn't want to do that? But unfortunately, at the core of responsive web design, there's a very big flaw in its logic. And that is that responsive CSS treats mobile as a screen size issue. And now maybe if it was 2008, that would be right. We're all trying to cram things onto these brand new iPhones and try to just get it to work for people. But in 2013, mobile comes in all shapes and sizes. Mobile isn't about screen size anymore. The key UX differentiator between this laptop in front of me and the mobile devices out there is tactile input. And you can't guarantee that just by a screen size, whether you have a mouse-driven device or a tactile device. So to highlight this example, this is a very popular example I've seen on the web of how to find an iPad 3. So you're going to look for a Retina display that is greater than or equal to 1,300 pixels wide. That would be your iPad. It would also, now last year that would work. Boom, you probably find an iPad at least 9 times out of 10 when you're looking for that. Today, though, you would find a Nexus 10 as well, which we're on the right track, that's fine. But the new MacBooks have Retina displays that are greater than 1,300 pixels wide. The Chromebook Pixel as well. The Toshiba Kirabook, which is a Retina display Windows 8 laptop. Acer's coming out with one. So we can guarantee pretty much by next year, probably every high-end device is going to have a Retina display with more than 1,300 pixels in it. So right there right at the surface, if that's what you're looking for, you're going to wind up serving the exact same user interface to people on iPads that are on the new MacBook Pros. And your UX is broken right off the bat. So I want to highlight this a little further. I want to do a little exercise. So if everybody could whip out whatever mobile device they have, use your laptop too, if you got an iPad, go to this URL. I'm going to head out of this and go to it myself. Now, this is a little web experiment I wrote last week. Oh, RWD versus UA.com. I'm sorry. So, can everybody see that up there in my address bar? Okay. So, here's my computer. I'm running a Linux PC with the WebKit browser. I'm in Chrome. That would be correct. Responsive CSS says that I am on a mobile device with a screen size less than or equal to 1280 pixels wide, or a laptop or desktop with a browser window size less than 1280 pixels wide. My potential devices are an iPad 1, 2, or mini, Android phone, phablet, or tablet, another phone or tablet, maybe a BlackBerry, PC, Chromebook, or Mac. We have no clue, basically, what I'm on. And then JavaScript says what my resolution is. Does anybody have an iPad 3? Can you read off what the blue box says?
The text on the top?
Yeah, this one.
A real-time comparison of responsive CSS and server-side user agent detection by...
Right, and then the box below that. It says,
Inside the box?
yeah, server-side detection says.
Detection says you're using an iPad running a WebKit browser.
Okay, so we're correct there. And then the one below that, you're going to find a caveat to that 1,300 pixels.
CSS says you are on a mobile device with a resting display less than or equal to 1280 pixel wide, or a laptop or a desktop with a Retina display, and the browser window size less than or equal to 1280 pixel wide.
Okay, thank you. So what that said, I don't know if they caught that on audio. So it says it's on a Retina display less than or equal to 1280 pixels wide. That doesn't know if that's a mobile device or a desktop. So what does that mean? First of all, that didn't go over 1,300 pixels, right? That's the caveat. That example I showed that actually is around the web doesn't work, because iPad 3 actually gives its size out as 1024 by 768 with the Retina display through Safari. So, but we look at that. We could be on a iPad. I could be on a MacBook, but I've sized down the browser window. I don't know. Is anybody on an iPhone? Can you read the blue box for me?
Server-side detection say you are using an iPhone, you're running a WebKit browser.
Okay, so now from server-side detection, we know the difference between an iPad and an iPhone right off the bat. What does the red one say?
Potential device via CSS, iPhone or my Android phone or home PC, Chromebook, Pixel, or MacBook Pro.
Okay, so once again, we don't know because we could be on one of those Retina displays and it decides down the browser window. To give you an example of that. So now my potential devices, let me reload this. So now my potential devices are an iPhone 1 or 3. Now my potential devices are an iPad mini. So that's what responsive CSS does. Does anybody have something really out of the ordinary? I don't even know if it's going to work because I just played with this last week. Does anybody have like a BlackBerry or a Windows phone or a Chromebook? What do you got?
Windows phone.
All right, what does it say?
It says Windows Mobile. Wait, sorry. Server-side detection. Okay, server-side detection says you're using a Windows mobile phone running a non-WebKit browser. And then the potential devices via CSS is iPhone 1 3, Android phone, other phone, PC, Chromebook, and Mac.
So there we go. Essentially, for the sake of time, we can know what device you're on. We don't need to rely on CSS. So what does that mean? Let me get back into this pres here. So you might say, like, so what? You know, as long as I'm close enough, you know, I don't need to rewrite 100% of the time, whatever, it's good enough, which, believe it or not, I've actually gotten that response. Here's an example. Starbucks. Their website, if you look at like the top 25 best responsive web design lists out there, you're probably going to find this site in it. And on my phone, it looks great, right? Here we go. We've got this menu button that I've hit that's come down and had this nice big menu that my fat fingers can touch, and everything looks right. It looks kind of like an app. Everything's fine. Here's what it looks like on this Nexus 7 right here. That's the desktop version. And that's in portrait. That's not in landscape. So I'm now in pinch to zoom mode. Everything's broken. I should have this interface on my tablet. Especially it's a 7-incher, right? No Retina display. There's no excuse for this. But you know, I don't want to rag on Starbucks. This was an excellent design. It's just it falls apart when we're using pure responsive CSS. So what could they do to make this better today with the least amount of work? And I don't want to just rag on responsive design. Responsive design is a fantastic tool in its place. Like, you're not going to show up to a construction site with a screwdriver and say, all I need is this screwdriver. You know, I can turn it around the hammer, turn it around on the handle and bang nails in, and I can use it as a chisel to carve wood up. You'd rather bring a hammer and a saw with you. And so that's what responsive design is. Once you know that you're on a mobile device, well, then screen size does become a factor, right? And you can use these things to, you know, send a phone versus tablet thing in. Desktop too. I mean, for years, we've been constrained by this idea that desktop websites have to stop at 900 pixels wide or so for those people that have CRT screens that are at 1024 by 768. But if we start using responsive design for those, then we can start filling up that empty white space that's everywhere. We can fill everybody's different size screens with relevant information. So how do we do this? How do we first figure this out? Well, obviously, we use server-side detection to figure out what device we're starting on. And I get a lot of times, how many people here are developers? Actually, let me rephrase that. How many people here would classify themselves as programmers? Okay. Now, how many people would classify themselves as designers? Okay. So I'm probably not going to get this from the programmers, but from the design crowd a lot I get, this is too much. Like, I know HTML, I know CSS, I don't know Ruby, I don't know PHP, I don't know Node.js. So I'm here to say that's not that big of a deal. It's really easy. And I'm going to show you how that can be done from a top level perspective, because there are a million web languages out there to do this. So my preferred solution is MobileESP. It's a library that's available in just about every single web language out there. It's really simple. All you got to do is say, create a new instance of MobileESP and then tell me if I'm on a phone. That's it. If you want to get more heavy with it, get into the WURFL database, and there's libraries that help you out with that too. But really all you need is MobileESP. It's a fantastic platform, or library to use. It comes in JavaScript, it comes in PHP, Java proper, comes in, Ruby, C#, Visual Basic, Python. So yeah, it's basically, all we're doing here is we're parsing out the user agent string, right? So whenever any device hits a website, it says, there's a string that says, here's what I am. And so it's just using regular expressions to do that. And you can do that in just about every language. So, and give you an idea how easy it is. These are the only 4 functions you'll need to use with that. I would argue you might only need 2 of them. So once you've said, give me a new MobileESP object, you detect to your tablet. And what does that say? It'll give you back a true or false. Is this a tablet that supports HTML5? So that'll cover your iPads, it'll cover this Nexus 7, cover potentially some Windows, BlackBerry stuff. And then the next one is detect to your iPhone, which isn't just iPhone, that would also cover your Android phones, BlackBerry 10, Windows Phone 8. Detect to your rich CSS. So what that is your older phones that maybe can handle CSS but don't have a really good JavaScript engine in them. So we're talking about your older BlackBerries, your older Windows phones, stuff like that. And lastly, detect to your other phones, and that's how you know if somebody's coming like a Motorola Razr or something. So, and you can pretty much ignore them because they're used to the web not working. So, so really the first 2. But let's say you go through all of this and everything's false, well, be pretty sure that somebody's on a desktop, right? We've covered every type of mobile device that's currently out there. And this library is being updated. They just recently added all the BlackBerry 10 stuff. So that's how easy it is to find out. Now we know what device on. What do we do? Really simple step after this. And that is you echo out a link to the right CSS file, right? So instead of this one great big CSS file that has all these different media queries in it that handle all these different size devices, you take all the stuff that was meant to be your mobile stuff, pull it out, put it in another file, and then go, if I'm on a mobile device, use this one. And it'll still do the same thing. You can still write one set of HTML. It's essentially the exact same thing. You're just doing a better job of refining down what CSS you want to deliver. And that's it. Like if you want to, now you can narrow that down further. Maybe you want to have a phone one and a tablet one and a desktop one. And then you can go through a switch statement. Otherwise, you can just have like an if statement inside whatever language you have and go, if it's a mobile, yes. If not, do this. Right? And that's it. That's literally all that Starbucks would have to do to make sure that I did not get that interface on my tablet. So I hope somebody from them's listening. So, because they're doing work. It's a really great design. I feel bad for the designer because it's not going through like it should. So, what if you wanted to do more, though? I mean, that's great. Okay, we have a mobile design. We have a. Let me see where I am on time. How deep I go into this? Oh, I'm good. All right, so we want to actually do things based on screen size. Well, now we can. Now you have your mobile CSS, and now you can say, well, if I'm on a Retina display of this many pixels or a non-Retina display of this many pixels, I can be pretty certain I'm on a phone. If it's starting to get into a higher range, I can be pretty well certain I'm on a tablet or a phablet or whatever, but I can now discern to a usable amount the actual screen size of the device. And from that, maybe, okay, now I'm on a phone, so I want to design my site to be more linear. So somebody, just scrolling up through what's going on. But now I know I'm on like something the size of an iPad. Maybe I want to be more modular and put things around and not necessarily have things laid out that way. And don't forget, JavaScript is a powerful tool, especially jQuery. And I would say to all the designers out in the audience right now who maybe haven't learned jQuery, learn jQuery. It's really simple, and you can do so much more with it. We do actually in our stores very, very little responsive CSS. It's almost all jQuery. That way we can refine down and do percentages of things. Percentage of the screen makes a huge difference to if I'm between this margin and this margin, this is how big this element is going to be. So, and when you get down into that, you can do some really cool stuff. So if you do that, what happens? Well, we know now. We're delivering the right interface to the right people. And once again, like in my business, I can't take the chance of somebody getting delivered the wrong experience. If 1 out of 100 people leave my site because they're frustrated with the interface, that makes a huge difference on my bottom line. So in that, a lot of times I hear, well, I wrote an article about this about a month and a half ago, and the biggest response, negative response I got was, this is too much. This is too much work. I've got to segment everything and blah, 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 blah. I would argue it's really a lot less segmentation than an MDOT site. But that was the #1 complaint. And if you're thinking that, this is my response. If you want to deliver top-tier products to top-tier clients to receive top-tier paychecks, you have to do top-tier work. And if you're willing to do any less, then cool, have fun building the local restaurant's website. So I don't want to leave on a negative note like that. So let's cover the key points. Call to action, because this is a good thing. We now know how to deliver, at least the first step in delivering app-like experiences to our web browser users. So first thing, keep in mind is they don't know the difference. Go from that. Every little thing you do, you're building an app, just like any other one. It doesn't matter that it's being delivered, how it's being delivered to them. The second thing to remember is that responsive design is good when used as part of a larger toolkit. And lastly, you can do mobile detection pretty easily. Don't believe the hype. So, and for example, did anybody, if you opened up your phone and that site said that you had something that you didn't have, raise your hand. What did it say?
It said I had an iPhone 1 to 3 and I got an iPhone 4.
Did it? That was on the CSS side. The blue box at the top said you were on a iOS iPhone. Yeah. Well, there we go. So that's pretty accurate. A whole room full of people. I have never, in my experience, seen MobileESP get the wrong one unless somebody had manipulated their user agent string. And then what are you going to do? So, and they're probably used to things not working if they mess around with that. So, any questions? Do you think I'm full of crap? Let me know. Anything? Awesome. Thank you.